And as people get logged in or get another drink or get comfortable, we want to show you right now a quick video of Julie Hammerquist of Ferndale, Washington. Julie's husband, Ken, shared this video. It's Julie's second time ever on a power wheelchair. We're going to get rolling shortly, but right now, buckle up and watch Julie roll along.
Okay. That would have not been funny. Okay. Slow it down, lady. Okay. Straight ahead. That was con film. Take it down a notch, lady. Nope. Killing me, man. Okay, slow down. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Stop. Take your hand off. You okay? You okay?
So thank you to the Hammerquist family for sharing that video. As you can tell, Julie has a great sense of adventure as well as a great sense of humor. Her husband, Ken, said that Julie was using level 3 in the parking lot. He added, "It's a good thing we never told her about levels 4 or level 5. She was having a terrific time, however, as she continued for a second lap. I'm also sad to share that Julie passed away 16 days after that video was shot. So tonight, we would like to dedicate this gala to Julie, as well as to all of the people with ALS who we lost over this past year. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Silver Lining Gala, a benefit for the ALS Evergreen chapter. I'm Graham Crow. I'll be serving as your fundraising host tonight. I'm in Seattle, and joining me tonight from the other coast, in Florida, is author, podcast host, and mixologist extraordinaire, Sailor Guevara. Welcome, Sailor. What do you have in store for everyone later tonight?
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me. If you got the cocktail box, I would recommend, if you haven't opened it already, that you open it. There is a little laminated sheet inside that gives you instructions on how to be prepared and how to put your cocktail together. And I'm going to walk you through both of those cocktails in a little bit. So in the meantime, grab your glassware and your ice, and we'll get going in a little bit.
So you've got two coming up. Can you give us little teasers about them?
Absolutely. The first one is the Palace of Dreams, which is a dreamy gin cocktail. And then we have a Tiki themed cocktail because summer's right around the corner, right? Fingers crossed for all of you guys on the left coast. And that one is made with a very special whiskey that I'm going to talk about as well.
So it's got to be a good gala when you end with a tiki drink. I mean, so
Absolutely.
We're in good shape there. And beside the drinks, you're going to give some little tips and some history and information about these too.
Yes, I am. A little bit, some very important tips for when you're mixing drinks and how to do it expertly and really easily, and a little bit of history on the brands as well.
Speaking of history, some people may wonder, how do you get into this type of work? What's your background?
I started out as a bartender and then went to the supplier side, we call it, and began working for brands. And then I fell in love with whiskey and worked in distilleries and have been learning for the past 25 years about what makes a spirit and the brands and stories behind it. And now I get to have this incredible job of putting together these cocktail kits and sending them around the country. And I get to do things like this virtually and talk about whiskey and spirits. And it's just pretty amazing.
We're going to be getting more of this information later on during this benefit tonight, but just curious, is there a most common one or two mistakes that people make when they're attempting to make their own cocktails?
I think not following the recipe specifically. So it's like baking. Everything has to be very precise. and not understanding the products you're using. So you always want to Google everything, that all the components. If there's a vermouth, if there's, what type of spirit and what's the profile, what's it going to taste like. Taste all your elements first before you mix with them, just like you would do with food. Do the same thing with cocktails.
So quality matters.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we're going to have hopefully a quality show for you coming up. We will see you a little bit later, Sailor. So get prepared and make everyone happy when you do. Okay. Now, for those of you joining us, if you have not officially registered for our auction items, we encourage you to do so. I know a lot of you have been bidding. How do I know? Because I've been outbid on just about everything during today and during the week leading up. But it's very easy to do so if you have not bid already. Simply go to gala.alsa-ec.org. I encourage you to do so quickly, however, as the silent auction items will close at 6:15 Pacific time. So that's less than 10 minutes from now. You still have time to go on. Look for the items. Most of them close at 6:15. There are the wine and spirits packages that opened up at noon today. They will close later on tonight. Now, as you may know, Evergreen chapter is the largest ALS chapter by area, at least in the United States. The Evergreen chapter provides services to ALS patients and families in Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. So welcome to all of you from those 4 states who have joined us and from other states around the country. Now there is someone else who would also like to welcome you and thank you for watching tonight. Here's the ALS Evergreen Chapter Executive Director, Pauline Proulx.
Thanks everyone for joining us. We hoped that we would be able to host this year's gala in person, but we're not quite there yet, so again, we meet through a computer screen. These virtual galas have a silver lining. The entire chapter is able to gather for one event. We serve more than 900 people who have ALS in 4 states: Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. Before we get to the fun tonight, I would like to say a very heartfelt thank you to all of you who helped keep the chapter operating through 2020 with your generous gifts. We came into last year with big plans to expand programs and services. We were going to grow our in-person events and our outreach. But as the great philosopher Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And in 2020, like a lot of people and organizations, we got roughed up a little bit. I'm excited to tell you that we got up off the mat and we kept fighting for people with ALS and their families. Even in the midst of the pandemic, our chapter was able to deliver services and programs. Sure, they looked a little different. Care service visits and support groups turned into Zoom meetings. We developed new protocols for a medical equipment loan program, including curbside drop-off and pickup. All of our fundraising walks and bike rides turned into virtual events like this one today. I am so incredibly proud of the staff and the ALS community. They didn't let a little thing like a pandemic get in the way of connecting with each other. With that, let's get back to the fun. Everyone deserves some type of celebration after last year. Again, thank you. Your donation, large or small, will help us continue our work for today and the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline, very much. Again, I want to remind everyone that bidding on the silent auction items will close at 6:15 Pacific time. That's about 5 minutes from now. So there is still time to register if you've not done so. Check your last bid. If you've been outbid, you should have received a text message. I keep getting them that people outbid me. But I want to give you a tip. When you go to the Greater Giving website, if you're on the page or going there, when you place a bid, you'll have the option to what is called, and there's an icon there, it says bid more. You can set a maximum bid. I strongly recommend that you do that. When you place a bid, let's say I'm willing to bid X amount, but I would go up to Y. Let them know what your maximum bid is. That way, if someone outbids you at your initial bid, the next automatic bid will be entered for you. You don't have to wait to get a text message and then place another bid. The reason that's valuable is right when it gets to closing time and people try to sneak in that last second bid. This way you won't lose it at the last time. The computer will do the bidding for you. Or you can do the buy it now option and just take it and walk away happy. We also want to recognize, while you continue bidding, our wonderful sponsors who have made tonight's event possible. Thanks first to our gold sponsors, MT Pharma, KPMG, and Absolute Mobility. Thank you to the three of you. Also, thanks to our silver sponsor, BlueCross and BlueShield. We thank you very much for your support, BlueCross BlueShield of Montana. Also, thanks to our bronze sponsors, Cytokinetics and Parker, Subaru, and Coeur d'Alene. And thanks to our valued community partner, Swedish Medical. So we appreciate the sponsors make tonight possible and assure that every dollar that when you bid and every dollar that you donate goes directly to services as the costs are covered. So again, we've got less than 4 minutes remaining in the silent auction. I want to remind you, first of all, what are closing. The silent auction items that opened up earlier in this week, they will close again at 6:15 Pacific time. We did have a group of packages, wine and spirits, that opened up at noon Pacific time today. Those items will close at 8 o'clock tonight. So concentrate on the silent auction items. Here's another tip for you if you're looking. If you're looking for, let's say, I'd like to get a deal or a bargain. First of all, I'll remind you this is a fundraiser for the ALS Association, so we don't necessarily want you to get a deal or a bargain, but we would like you to be generous with your donations. But if you are looking for a deal or a bargain, you can go and click on the icon in the upper left-hand corner of the Greater Giving page and look for items with no bids. When I looked just before the show started, there were 3 items still looking for their opening bid. There were a couple of premier trips or golfing packages through the dorming network, one for a larger group, one for an individual. So take a look at those if you're a golfer or know someone who's a golfer. And then there's a gorgeous piece of jewelry that, again, you could get just for the opening bid. Also want to mention, while we come down to just a little over 1 minute remaining in the silent auction items, we also have some special trips and packages. There's a stay in Italy, a stay in Bali, a 6-night, 6-day photo safari to South Africa, and a choice of 5 locations in Mexico. These items will close on Monday at 6:15, or excuse me, at 8 o'clock on Monday Pacific time. And these also, you don't bid on. These are simply, there's a fixed price well below value, and you can purchase one or more, or have people go in and get a couple of them at the same time. Right now, we're focusing on those silent auction items. There's been bidding back and forth on these. A lot of them, there's the massage packages. There's some trips. There's the Whitefish trip to Whitefish, Montana that's there. There's the Cave B, the 3 nights. What a fantastic looking place that is, an opportunity, but less than 1 minute. On the Greater Giving, we're going to the Greater Giving website that hopefully you are on. That's the time clock we're working on, because when that hits 6:15, the device automatically blocks off additional bids. You will not be able to bid anymore. So get that. Don't lose something now. Some of you have been bidding all week. You don't want someone to come in and sneak it away from you in these final 30 seconds. So get those bids in on the silent auction. The wine and spirits packages will remain open for another just about 2 hours from now, 8 o'clock Pacific time. And then those trips you can get up through Monday, the big trips. We've got, it looks like about 20 seconds left in the silent auction. We'll give you information on how to get those a little later on in the program. Concentrate now on bidding that closes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The silent auction is now closed. You guys were fabulous all week long. It'll be interesting to see who got what and what the eventual winning bids were. Okay, now, if you were the winning bidder of one or more than one of the silent auction items, first of all, congratulations. You have a reason to celebrate. And if you got outbid and you feel sorry for yourself and down and you need a pick-me-up, there's no one better to help with either the celebration or the pick-me-up than tonight's featured mixologist, Sailor Guevara. So let's head back to Florida right now, bring in Sailor. And Sailor, what's the first one that you've got on tap for us?
Okay, well, we are going to start with the Palace of Dreams. And so that's the largest vessel that you have in your kit. And hopefully you've refrigerated it. So all you need to do is shake it up. You're going to open up the cap. And you're going to get a stemmed cocktail glass. So this is a coupe glass. You can use a martini glass. But if you don't have a stemmed cocktail glass, come on, it's going to taste just as good in a rocks glass, right? So I do have a stemmed glass. So I'm just going to pour mine right into the glass. And look at that beautiful color. And then you've been given a dehydrated lemon slice. I've done the work for you. Just pop it in there. And as you're drinking your cocktail, that lemon slice is going to rehydrate. Now, if you didn't have time to refrigerate it, that's okay. You'll use a mixing glass. It can be a pint glass. Just pour it in there. Add some ice, stir it up, and then pour it into your stemmed cocktail glass without the ice. This is what we call a cocktail up. So, smells amazing. So just to tell you a little bit about what is in this glass. So I've called this the Palace of Dreams because it's made with Hendrick's gin. And Hendrick's gin is made by an incredible magician called Leslie Gracie. She is a botanist and a chemist by trade, and she is the mastermind behind Hendrick's gin. And it is made in Scotland, and they call it the Gin Palace where it's made. So I've made a little bit of an Earl Grey tea tincture and a little bit of rosemary and pink peppercorn syrup, and then just a bit of citrus in there as well. And for those that don't know, gin is actually a beautiful distilled spirit that is infused with botanicals, and one of those botanicals being juniper. In this case, there's rose and cucumber added as well, and that is specifically the beautiful mind of Leslie Gracie. She wanted it to taste like an English cucumber sandwich in a rose garden, and I think she has done just that. So cheers to this cocktail that I hope you're sipping on now. But before I go, delicious. I do want to talk about some incredible whiskeys that are up for grabs. Now, you can see the photos of them here. One of these bourbons is one of the most coveted bourbons in the world. People literally line up when this comes out, and that's the Blanton's Single Barrel. It is a small batch, and that means that only a certain amount is made every year, and it's allocated out across the country, so when it's gone, it's gone. If I was you, I would grab that right away because I know that people are going to go crazy bidding for this one. Now, if you don't make that one, we also have the incredible Henry McKenna Single Barrel Bourbon from the Heaven Hill Distillery in Kentucky, and it is absolutely exquisite as a single barrel offering. And again, a single barrel means it's one barrel, so you will never get to taste this again. Each barrel can taste very different from each other. There's also the Bibb and Tucker Small Batch Bourbon. It's aged for 6 years. Absolutely gorgeous. Then we've got an incredible rye whiskey, 100% Canadian prairie rye, mashed with the Rocky Mountain water from Canada. It's one of the most popular rye whiskeys in the world. If that doesn't sell you, I don't know what else will. Then we have the Burnside Goose Hollow Bourbon. It is a small batch that is meticulously blended and finished in Guyana casks, which is a very specific, special Pacific Northwest native oak. I highly recommend, as a whiskey icon myself, every single one of these whiskeys are sure to please any whiskey lover that's out there. So good luck on those.
Thank you, Sailor. And by the way, she's got more coming up later. I want to talk about the 5 bourbons and ryes that you showed, and you mentioned about the Blanton Single Barrel, and yes, you better jump on it right away.
Yes.
Someone jumped on it even before you said that.
Oh,
because
my goodness.
It went online at noon today, our time. By 2 o'clock, it had sold at the max bid. So it got snatched up right away. Someone knew what they were doing. The others are still available to bid. They will be open until 8 o'clock tonight. And I know that the McKenna one has been popular because I've been outbid twice already on that one. So
Yes, that Henry McKenna would absolutely be my second choice. It is just, I mean, truly, the selection here is phenomenal. And I'm not just saying that. I really mean it. But that Henry McKenna is something else. So I would hurry up and snatch that if you
great.
can.
And the good thing, if you're watching, every dollar that you bid, the winning bidder, it goes to the ALS Evergreen Association or the chapter here. So please be generous with your donations. Those will close at 8:00. So Sailor will join us a little bit later with our second, the Tiki drink coming up.
Yes.
But right now, let's make someone else very happy because we have a $250 Costco gift card. We put the names of all of the people who ordered the special gift boxes into a bowl. Earlier today, we drew out the winner. And the winner of the $250 Costco gift card, I know she's watching. She was logged on earlier in the chat room. Melissa Blankenship of Everett. Congratulations, Melissa. Way to go. You get that $250 Costco gift card. Okay. Tonight is about giving all of you watching the opportunity to help patients and their families dealing with ALS. At any time during the program, please go to the Greater Giving website. You can click on the Donate Now button to show your support. Shortly, you're going to be hearing from a patient and his family to see and understand the difference that you have made in their lives. But first, we would like you to learn a little bit more about an extremely unique connection this chapter has with this disease. I think you're going to be fascinated with the story from the Evergreen chapter's volunteer coordinator, Katrina Hawking.
Hi, I'm Katrina Hawking, volunteer coordinator for the ALS Association Evergreen chapter. Like many of you participating in the gala tonight, I'm part of a family that has been deeply affected by ALS. My father-in-law, physicist Stephen Hawking, might be the most well-known person with ALS since Lou Gehrig. Though Stephen passed away a few years ago, he considered himself to be fortunate that his diagnosis came a few decades after Lou Gehrig's. Even as the disease progressed in Stephen's body, the revolution in computer and information technology helped him to continue to do the things that were most important to him. To study, to write, to communicate with his family, and to share his discoveries about the universe with the entire world. Many people have told me that Stephen's journey gave them hope after they were diagnosed with ALS. One of these people was John Fresca. When John's son was still in elementary school, he wrote a paper listing his heroes. On that list, Stephen Hawking. Soon after, John took his son to one of Stephen's lectures, and one day his son went on to major in physics at the University of Washington. John said he was more comfortable telling his son about his own diagnosis. Because of Stephen's experience, he knew his future was not all doom and gloom. It helped inspire John to use voice banking, recording and digitizing more than 1,200 phrases that will allow him to use his own voice in a speech synthesizer one day. When Stephen was first diagnosed with ALS in 1962, there was not much in the way of assistive technology to help people with disabilities. Stephen lived within a block of his office and could walk there, and later he used a push wheelchair. He relied on help from people who could read his messy handwriting and were willing to type his papers for him. As his mobility declined over the next 3 decades, technology advanced. In the early 1970s, he got a 3-wheeled electric car, which went at a slow cycling speed. And in true Stephen fashion, he sometimes illegally carried passengers. He was a notoriously poor driver. In 1974, while spending a year at Caltech, Stephen first had the full-time use of an electric wheelchair, and eventually found one to use when he returned to Cambridge. The electric car and the power chair were both new technology at the time and helped Stephen maintain his independence far longer than would have been possible before. At the same time, Stephen lost the use of his hands. Because he was no longer able to write equations, he developed unique new ways of thinking and solving complex problems in his mind. He could still dictate his research to others, although his speech was becoming slurred. As personal computers became more common, Stephen regained the ability to write for himself. My husband, Robert, who was a teenager at the time, wrote a program that allowed his dad to control a word processing program using 2 joysticks. In 1985, Stephen lost his voice after a tracheostomy surgery, and for some time he could only communicate by raising his eyebrows when someone pointed to the right letter on a spelling card. But he was greatly helped by a new computer communications program built by an American engineer, Walt Waltos. The program was called Equalizer, and it was the first of its kind. It allowed Stephen to select words from a list using a single open-closed switch, and then send these words to a speech synthesizer. Stephen didn't like the synthesizer's American accent at first, but he came to identify with it over time. By 2008, Stephen could no longer use the hand switch. Still, technology had advanced again, and he changed to an infrared sensor on his eyeglasses. This allowed Stephen to continue using the speech synthesizer, even after he had almost no voluntary movement. As ALS progressed, that method became slower, and in 2012, a team from Intel developed the ACAT word prediction program, which helped Stephen find the words he wanted to use with less effort. ACAT is now open-sourced and used to facilitate communication around the world. The advancement of assistive technology helped my father-in-law maintain a rewarding life, to write, to communicate, to share his brilliant mind with the world. When ALS tried to lock in his ideas, assistive technology was the key that kept them open to us all. Today, assistive technology is helping people with ALS communicate better, move better, and get more out of life. There's a wide range of assistive technology equipment that can improve mobility and manage ALS symptoms as the disease progresses. Here at the Evergreen chapter, our assistive technology specialist works directly with people living with ALS to provide personalized solutions that meet their needs. We provide assistive equipment through our free loan closets. We loan everything from power wheelchairs to assistive switches. We have speech assistance technologies ranging from computers with synthesized speech programs to low-tech alternatives like alphabet and picture boards. And if you don't find what you need in our loan closet, the chapter can provide a grant to purchase assistive technology or other equipment. Despite his ALS, my father-in-law was able to keep living a rewarding life with the help of assistive technology. But it wasn't just technology that made the difference. It was the generosity of countless people. People who stepped up and asked, "How can I help?" every time Stephen faced a new physical challenge. In 2020, the Evergreen chapter facilitated more than 150 meetings on assistive technology. Those meetings were made possible because people like you are also willing to ask, "How can I help?" Tonight, the answer to that question: raise your paddle high. We need to raise $100,000 tonight, so we hope you will dig deep. Your gift tonight will help people with ALS continue to live rewarding lives. With your help, we can provide assistive technology to empower people with ALS to engage with the world the way they want. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for listening to my story. And thank you for the difference you're about to make.
And thank you, Katrina, for sharing your story and the incredible stories and images of your father-in-law, Stephen Hawking. You mentioned that he might be the most well-known person with ALS since Lou Gehrig. Well, earlier this year, Major League Baseball announced that the inaugural Lou Gehrig Day will be celebrated throughout Major League Baseball on Wednesday, June 2nd. The Mariners will be at home hosting the Oakland A's, and I have some very exciting news to share with all of you. ALS patient and Evergreen chapter board member Valerie O'Mara will throw out the ceremonial first pitch at T-Mobile Park. The Evergreen chapter has also been designated as T-Mobile Spotlight Charity that night and will receive $10,000. And Root Sports, which televises the Mariner games, is looking for ALS patients who are Mariners fans to tweet pictures of themselves in Mariners garb before the game on June 2nd. Tweet those to hashtag #WhereIRoot and also hashtag LG4Day. That's Lou Gehrig. The number he wore was the number 4 and day. Other things are in the works of that game that will benefit this chapter, so keep an eye on your emails for updates. But this is very exciting news for the chapter. Now, I would like you to turn your attention to Bill and Leanne Vander Ploeg. You're going to hear their story and see how your support of this chapter and the incredible care services available have made such a positive impact on their lives.
Hi, my name is Bill Vander Ploeg, my wife Leanne, and I have ALS. I've had it since February 14, 2017. And it started with my right thumb being numb, and put up my right arm, and then came over to my left arm, and down to my left hand. So I have no use of my fingers and my arms. My legs still are good, and because I can't use my hands, I have a joystick down here that I move this wheelchair around in, and it makes it very easy for me to get around in my house. I also have this tablet up here on my right side, and that I can turn on lights, and I can open my front door with it. So here's how this works. I can push it this way, and I can go this way, and then I can recline it by just touching the button right here, and then I select what I want, and then I can bring it up, then I can take it back down. After I was diagnosed with ALS and got over the Evergreen chapter, Jackie came to the house and she said, "So what do you do during the day?" I said, "I just watch TV." And so she came up with this foot mouse so that I could still use my computer. As a result, I have games I could play. I can go on the internet. I can open the door. Then I can turn the lights on. The foot mouse has really been a blessing.
We are Bill and Leanne Vander Ploeg, and my husband Bill has ALS, and I'm his full-time caregiver. And we just heard the news that Jackie Gaddis is moving on from working with the ALS Evergreen chapter, and I just wanted to read to you a note that I sent to her recently. I said, Jackie, we heard the great news and want you to know that Bill, when he was first diagnosed with ALS, you were one of the very first team members who reached out and helped us negotiate some solutions to try to help to be able to make sure that Bill had as normal a life as possible during this challenging time. That you produced a foot mouse that you got for Bill, and it was a lifesaver. He's still using it to this day. All of your help with the Alexa systems and was so important when Bill couldn't use his hands and his arms. You made it so he could still use his computer system. We thank you for the heart and the love that you put into your work with your ALS patients and their families every day. I know that you will succeed at your new adventure, and your new clients will be so lucky to experience the care and joy that you will share with them. I have no doubt. We miss you already. Thank you, Jackie, for all your help. You make a difference in people's lives every day. We love you.
And thank you, Bill and Leanne, for sharing your story. Bill, I understand that you are in the IC unit watching tonight's show, so special thank you to you for that. I also wanted to let everyone know that while Jackie Gaddis will be greatly missed by everyone she touched, especially that killer smile of Jackie's, she has passed the baton on to Ken Finlayson as the new assistive technology specialist for the Evergreen chapter. So thanks, Jackie. Best of luck to you, and welcome, Ken. We know that you will be a wonderful addition to the assistive technology team. Now, we come to absolutely the most important part of tonight's program. This is what we call the Make a Difference virtual paddle raise. This is the time that each and every one of you watching, no matter where you are, no matter what your disposable income level is, each and every one of you has the chance to donate at any level that's meaningful to you and comfortable for you. You should have received a link for the paddle raise when you registered. If not, you can easily find that link, by the way, on the Greater Giving webpage. But you can look in the upper right-hand corner. You'll find where it says Donate Here. So if you're on the bidding page, look for that Donate Here button. You can click on that at any time. If you have not registered yet, once again, go to gala.alsa-ec.org and click on the Get Started button there, and then you'll be all set. Okay, as Katrina mentioned in her video, our goal tonight is $100,000. That's what we'd like the thermometer to reach. And look at where we are at right now. Already we are near $40,000. So thank you to our generous pre-gala donors. One of those was an amazing $25,000 donation from a supporter who wishes to remain anonymous. I hope you are watching whoever you are. And so we can virtually wrap our arms around you and simply say thank you very much for that. On the webpage for the donation, the highest specific level listed is $10,000. And I would like to thank the O'Donnells, who have made a generous donation of $10,000 tonight. Hopefully, that donation might inspire others to do so. Again, we will talk about some different levels now, but you can donate at any level at any time during this program. At $5,000, we would like to thank the John Gellen Memorial. And also, we have a $5,000 donation from Swedish, the community partners of the Evergreen chapter. Again, you go to the Donate Now button and click on that, and then any amount that you would like to donate. At $2,500, we have a wonderful donation from the Roger and Annette Rieger and the Tudor Foundation. So thank you very much for your support at $2,500. Now, I want to talk about the $1,000 level because we have another anonymous donation here. Another $25,000 donation. Our donor, the second anonymous $25,000 donor, is willing to match all $1,000 donations up to $25,000. So please help us reach that mark if you can with a generous $1,000 donation. Think of it this way. In effect, if you can and are willing and able to donate $1,000, that will be matched, in effect doubled, by our anonymous donor. So at any time, please click that Donate Now button. Perhaps $500 or $250 is your level of choice. We would love to have your support and be able to thank you for the difference you are making. Again, on the Greater Giving webpage, click on any amount that you care to donate tonight to help us get closer to our goal. The $100 level, I've got a special story to share with you, and this is kind of cool. This one is very unique. It's a special story about Joyce and Alan Irvine. Irvine's very strong supporters of organizations around the Puget Sound area. About 2 years ago, Joyce was diagnosed with ALS. This past week, the Irvines sent in a donation for $4,100. $4,100. We kind of wondered why that. Well, there was a note included in that donation from Joyce, and the note said, "The average life expectancy for someone with ALS is 2 to 5 years. I know I'm not average, so I expect to skew this average life expectancy thing by a lot. I've now survived 41 months, so this donation represents $100 for each month. This will be a sizable donation before I'm done." So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to ask each and every one of you willing to donate $100 to show support, not only for Joyce, but for other ALS patients. I'm hoping we can get at least 41 $100 donations there. Again, you click on the Donate Now button and enter your donation of any kind. Unfortunately, they're not showing up on our screen that's on the page that you see, but I see them when I go online. These all come up anonymously online. So unfortunately, I can't thank you by name, but we've got a couple of 500s. There's a 2,500. There we go. Now we've refreshed our total. We're over $55,000. Thank you for those donations that have come in. Dennis Shea, thank you. Dennis and Susan, for all of your hard work. $500. Pam, thank you. There's a $100. We're looking for 41. We had a lot earlier too. So let me do a quick count. I think we're at about 10 at $100. Even if you've given at another level already, if you could give $100, as Denise just did. Thank you, Denise. This, again, for the Joyce and Alan Irvine donation of $4,100, $100 for every month that Joyce has survived so far with her diagnosis with ALS. And Joyce, we are also hoping, as you say, that you skew that average 2 to 5 years just out of the water and blow it away. So the donation levels will still be, your name will show up. Thank you, Tara and Shane and Kelsey for the $100 donations earlier tonight. Gary Dyer with $100. Danette with $200. Thank you. Look at that. Robert Hawking, $1,500 in the fight against ALS. Thank you very much for that. If we can get more at the $1,000 level, we'll be able to add that $25,000 match onto this as we get up closer to our $100,000 level. Paul Tuss, $55. I want to mention that because there is a button when you go in there that says custom. So we have the most common levels, donation levels already there for you to make it a simple one click and play. But if there's something else you would like to do, you can donate in the custom at any level at all. Thank you, Ken Hammerquist, for your $1,000 donation. Ken, and thank you for that video once again to start the evening off. We're getting close to $60,000. Jackie, oh, we're going to miss your smile, but you have helped so many people over the years. Jackie, thank you for your donation and good luck to you in your future endeavors. So we are going to keep the donations open. You can continue thanking and showing your support for the assistive technology programs and services. We're going to check in later on with our update to see. But right now we have one more video to share with you about the assisted services, the innovative services that are offered in the Evergreen chapter area. Eastern Washington's Kadlec Medical Center was one of the very first telehealth clinics in the nation. The Evergreen chapter is glad to partner with both Swedish and Kadlec as we strive to provide better access to care. Here's Jim Hall.
Hello from Richland, Washington and the Tri-Cities. My name is Jim Hall, and for the past 27 years, I've had the great fortune to work at Kadlec Regional Medical Center. Over the years, Kadlec has grown tremendously, today numbering more than 3,700 caregiver employees, all dedicated to a mission of providing safe and compassionate care. For patients with ALS, the multidisciplinary clinic that operates at the Kadlec Healthplex and through telehealth connections to experts in Seattle offers incredible service and support.
Multidisciplinary clinic really encompasses multiple partners that come together to serve the patient. We have specialists from Swedish, our neurologist, Dr. Elliott, and our physiatrist, Dr. Mayadev. And then here locally, we have our physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, respiratory therapist with a nurse, as well as a palliative care nurse practitioner, our social worker, and then a representative from the ALS Association that all come together to serve the families that come to this clinic.
These patients have a lot of really complex medical needs, and the trajectory for each of them is different. So what they need is different for each patient, and just to be able to be a part of a group that is able to help them as things advance and as they transition, really means a lot to me as a respiratory therapist.
Neurological experts in ALS, including neurologist Dr. Michael Elliott, connect to patients in Richland from the Swedish Neuroscience Institute in Seattle. Swedish and Kadlec are both part of Providence, bringing expert care to patients wherever it is needed. In this case, they consult with Kadlec patients via telemedicine, with the patients and their care team together hundreds of miles away in Richland.
Our focus is really improving quality of life and optimizing function. And that's what all of these team members do. We're trying to enhance or optimize people's ability to ambulate, to do their activities of daily living, to extend their ability to do things if they want to travel or they want to attend some important event in their life. That this team of providers can help enable function and quality so that people can do those things for longer.
The motivation for the Kadlec ALS Clinic was spawned by Dave Foucault, whose wife waged a valiant fight against the disease. It was Dave and Pam's vision that future ALS patients would be able to access this critical care locally without having to travel great distances. Today, that vision continues to flourish to benefit ALS patients in this part of Eastern Washington and Northern Oregon.
I would also like to thank, Dave Foucault for his support of this, and as well as thanking, it's actually the Homedalls were the couple that also made the contribution. And then also the ALS Association. The ALS Association is a big part of our clinic here in Seattle, and they're a big part of the clinic at Kadlec, and they send a services rep there. So, and they've been very supportive of this. So, really that also is a partnership that I'm extremely grateful for, and I would want to thank everybody because all of the people I mentioned are the ones who have made this possible.
And thank you once again to our friends at Kadlec. Remember that our super silent items, those are the wine and spirits packages that went online and available for your bids earlier today. They will close at 8 o'clock Pacific time, so a little more than 1 hour still left to bid on those. And those special trips to Bali and Italy, Africa, and Mexico will close Monday night at 8 p.m. Just quickly, I want to mention a little bit about these 4 trips. First of all, the Bali, the Italy, and the Africa, these are all for 2 people. Airfare is not included, but each trip is good for 3 years from tonight. So you can travel anytime if you're the successful buyer, not bidder, because there's no bidding going on, but you can travel anytime between now and 2024. I also want to say these 4 trips, my wife and I have been fortunate enough to have taken all 4 and been, so I can personally vouch for them. They are fabulous stays. So the Bali, the Africa, the Italy, and then Mexico, there are a choice of 5 different resort locations that you can take 1 week. Those are good for 18 months from tonight. So again, look at the fixed price offering. They're all listed well below value. You have until Monday for those as well. Okay, if you have already won an item in the silent, or if you win something upcoming in the super silent, here's some information that you need to know. All items will be available for pickup next Tuesday, May 25th, or Thursday, May 27th. You can get them at the ALS office in Kent. Now, if you need to schedule a different day, please contact the office. The phone number is 425-656-1650. If you'd like to have your item shipped to you at your expense, simply let us know and we'll make that happen. By the way, all items not claimed by October 31st will become property of the Evergreen chapter. Okay, let's see if we can get an update on our Make a Difference total. If we can take a look, Matthew, at the slide, that would be great because I've got some happy update news for you. We said our goal is $100,000, and currently we are just over $70,000. So thank you for your donations that continue to come in. We're still trying to hit, if we can get some more $1,000 donations, we will get that $25,000 match, and I think that will get us real close, if not over, our $100,000 goal. So keep the donations coming. But right now, let's head back across the country to Florida. Sailor, it is Tiki time.
Yes, it is. Time to grab your cocktail shakers. And since you've got to sip on an easy to make cocktail, we're going to have some fun now building a cocktail together. So if you have the mocktail, just want you to know that I've created those to be just like the cocktail. So I want you to have a beautiful experience with flavors and feel like you're drinking a real cocktail, even though it doesn't have alcohol in it. So you will get your cocktail shaker out. If you don't have a cocktail shaker, you can actually use a mason jar with a lid or even Tupperware. We learned this during the pandemic that it doesn't take much. We can figure it out. So you have 3 vessels, okay? And so we're going to start pouring our vessels that are already pre-measured into your cocktail shaker. Now, we don't want to put ice in our cocktail shaker yet because the ice will start to break down and start to dilute your cocktail before you've even had a chance to shake it. So first, you put in the spirit and the ingredients, and then you add your ice last. So we have the whiskey mix, we have the Aperol, which is a beautiful Italian liqueur, and then I made a mix of Tiki bitters. Special mix of Tiki bitters here, handmade by me. So once you have all 3 of your components inside your cocktail shaker, we're going to get some ice, and really it doesn't take much. So I like to use the large ice cubes, but you can just use 3 cubes. You don't want to fill that cocktail shaker up too much. You want to let air get in there. That is why we are shaking and not stirring, so that we can aerate that cocktail, and it's going to have a beautiful, light, foamy texture, which is what we are looking for. So we're going to shake, making sure that our ice hits each side of the tin. Okay, and we're going to do this vigorously. You've got to use your muscles because we really want to make sure we have incorporated all those ingredients together. So here we go. So I always say about 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds. When you start to see the outside of your tin sweat, that's when you know it's chilled enough. That's when you know that it's shaken enough and it's ready. So now we are going to pop open our cocktail shaker. All right. And we're going to strain out the ice. Now, very important, you never want to use the ice that's inside your cocktail shaker because it is already broken down. So if you use that same ice, it's just going to water down your cocktail, and nobody wants that, right? So we're going to get fresh ice to put into our rocks glass. Again, I'm using a large cube. You can just use a couple of cubes. And we're going to strain it out. Again, we don't want any of that dirty ice, we call it, to get into our drink. So just strain right over the cube, and you see that it has a beautiful pink color. Okay, and then you got a little bit of lime, a dehydrated lime slice, which you will just pop in there. And there you go. That's it. Tiki time. Cheers. Now, I would like to tell you a little bit about the whiskey, for those of you that got the alcohol cocktail that's inside of this cocktail. So this whiskey is called Uncle Nearest whiskey. It is named after the first African-American master distiller on record in the United States. It's the first American whiskey brand to be owned by an African-American. It's the first to be owned by a woman. It's the first spirit brand in the United States to have an all-female executive team. It is named after Nearest Green, Uncle Nearest, who was the man that taught Jack Daniel to distill. His story was lost for a very long time until a woman named Fawn Weaver uncovered the story and built a brand behind it. I am proud to say that I worked for the brand for several years in the Pacific Northwest. I had the deep honor of telling this story every day. And the specific whiskey that you're drinking inside this cocktail tonight was curated by the great-great-granddaughter of Nearest Green, and her name is Victoria Edie Butler. I encourage you to go to unclenearest.com. There's a wonderful video that tells the story. The distillery will be opening up again in June. If you're vaccinated, you can go visit it in Tennessee. So we are drinking a legacy here for a good cause. So cheers to all of you. I hope you enjoy this little bit of a Caribbean flavor inside a glass.
Hey, Sailor, neat story. Thank you. You said it's Uncle Nearest. How do you spell Nearest so if someone wants to go to the website, they get the right place?
Yeah, it's like Nearest and Dearest. Nearest. Uncle
Gotcha.
Nearest.
And the other thing that you demonstrated, but you didn't really point out to people, when you make your own cocktails and you're shaking them, you are actually burning calories. So the more you shake, the more you can drink, and you actually lose weight.
That's
it's amazing
very
how that
astute,
works.
Graham. You're an excellent student. Yes.
Thank you. I
that means
quickly.
you can have an extra cocktail, of course.
That's right.
And hey, we're all at home, hopefully, right? So
that's right.
No
and
one's
more,
driving.
And more than the cocktail glass is sweating. So
yes.
You do as well when you
Even
shake.
more calorie burning.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sailor. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me tonight.
Okay.
I'm very honored. Thank you.
Oh, and you're going to be interested in watching what we're going to show everybody next, because we're going to take another look, an updated look at our thermometer toward our goal of 100,000, and look where we are. We're over $96,000. We are so close. Paul just came in with another $500. We are $3,500 away from our goal. So I'm going to ask everyone once again, if you are willing and able to make a difference with a donation of any amount, if we could get a couple of more $1,000, that would be terrific. 500s, they add up. The $100 add up. We would love to hit this total before we sign off tonight. Again, we are $3,500 away from the $100,000 goal that we set for tonight. So we know you can do it. If you enjoyed Sailor's Cocktails, donate to that to say thank you. If you appreciated Katrina's story about her father-in-law, Stephen Hawking, you can make a donation to say thank you, Katrina, for everything that your father-in-law meant to this fight. Thank you, James. We hope sometimes it could be Jim, sometimes when you fill out in the registration in the first name, but thank you for $250. Lynn Marie, $1,000. We're now $2,300 away from our $100,000 goal. I bet we can do this in the next 60 to 90 seconds. So anybody at all, we want to thank, there's Valerie O'Mara earlier for $250, Oliver for $500. Thank you to all of these. Amanda Rivera, $5,000 for that donation. Marilyn Moore, $2,500. Russ DeVore, $2,000. Again, there's Jean. Oh, Jean, you do so much for this chapter with your work on the board. Thank you for that $1,000 donation. Priscilla Bell made a $1,000 donation. Katrina and Robert Hawking have been generous throughout the evening. Ryan French, thank you, Ryan, for your $1,000 donation. We're looking for 13 specifically. Okay, Lynn Marie, another $1,000. So we are $245 away. There's a $250 button to click on, and we will all be celebrating. Sailor will shake all the way down in Florida. She'll go crazy. We'll go crazy here in Seattle. Susan Simpson puts us over the top. There we go. We're at $100,005. You can continue to donate. Thank you very much for all of your support tonight. Whoa. We would like to thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope to see you in person next year. That's right, in person next year on May 14th, 2022 for our gala at the Maiden Bauer Center, or in the Maiden Bauer Center in Bellevue. Bill Vander and Bill, I believe I was told that you were in the ICU and you're donating. Thank you very much for that. So once again, thank you. A big shout out to Amara Bates in Spokane and the auction committee who put all of this together tonight. Thanks to Matthew Sutton here in the studio, pushing all the buttons and did the setup to make sure that you could actually see and hear us in Seattle and in Florida. Thanks to Will here in the Formosa group for keeping us up and running and for keeping quiet when the mics were open. Thank you, Will, very much. Thank you, Sailor, for entertaining, educating, and imbibing all of us from Florida. But most importantly of all, thanks to all of you for watching and donating. And to all of the ALS patients and their families, they would like to thank you as well. We hope everyone had a good time tonight. Until next year, thank you very much.